Hello, hello. And I just gonna be connecting Instagram here. I'm still so excited every time I got on here that I can do Instagram together with Facebook and YouTube all at the same time. So sweet. All right. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good afternoon, maybe late at night somewhere. I hope you're not watching us late at night because you should be sleeping. We cherish sleep very much at Hormones Balance and prioritize it over everything else. Hope it's not too windy. I think in the afternoons, the wind picks up here. I'm in Mexico, just in case you wonder, on the Caribbean side of things. Just check this out. So I did not want to spend another. Oh, by the way, that's my shower. Isn't that cool? It's an outdoor shower. So cold water, but who cares? All right. Today we're talking about heavy, painful periods and PMS. All of that is part of the initiative for creating a lot of awareness and appreciation and understanding of estrogen dominance. Relaunching my book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance, is the initiative behind it. And so, how many of you here are completely new and like you've never listened to a live before with us? Like you haven't. Okay, if you follow us for less than, let's say, 3 months, then just say new. Whether you are on Facebook or Instagram, I'm just curious how many of you are here completely new and haven't really. You just started following us recently. So I know there's quite a lot of new people, and so I want to kind of address this a little bit in case, and I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I think it's worth the repetition. Given, I just realized that I have flaxseed in my teeth. I apologize. Jen, you didn't say anything. It's like, I got on a date with a guy before, and I went to the bathroom, and I had a chia seed like this whole time in my teeth. I came back, and I said to him, "Why didn't you tell me?" And he was like, "Oh, blah, 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 whatever." I'm like, you know what? I'm never going to go out on a date with this guy again. No, Jen, we're not breaking up. So, all right. So that's estrogen dominance. I think it's a very, very underestimated hormonal imbalance that so many women are experiencing. And every time I go down the list of symptoms, women just go, "Oh my God, I can't believe it." So that's the first thing I want to address. I'm going to run down the symptoms in just a second. And then the second thing that's happening is that somehow, maybe it's because that's my age, but even before I went into perimenopause, I tended to have more of a following of women who are going through perimenopause are in menopause, right? And interestingly, estrogen dominance can well happen into perimenopause and menopause. And in fact, in that time of the year, time of your life, is actually far more problematic than in our reproductive years. And the reason why I say that is because estrogenic forms of cancers all develop during times of estrogen dominance in our later years. And so estrogen dominance can completely be present when you're in perimenopause and menopause. And I've explained it many times before in our previous lives. And so we can, if you guys want, I can mention that again. Why is that even possible? But let's just go through the list of symptoms. And so symptoms of estrogen dominance could vary anything from the reproductive years and our period irregularities. So things like women who are experiencing PMS and painful periods, just like what we're talking about today. But also women who experience heavy periods. And that includes women who go into perimenopause and suddenly experience very heavy periods, which is pretty common. And just making sure that you rule out that there's not any other changes like in the uterus, that you don't have any growth, any tumors there, there's no irregularities of the uterus, other than hormonal changes, right? And if it's hormonal changes, then estrogen dominance is the major culprit there. Now, I'm going to cover my microphone. Hopefully it's because of the wind is picking up. It's nice for me. It might not be nice for you to hear that sort of boom, boom, boom against the mic. So any period changes, and then scanty periods, painful periods, right? Like what I mentioned. And then also women who have, for example, spotting in between their periods. That could also be due to estrogen dominance. And then we look at reproductive abilities, right? So women with a lot of miscarriages, subfertility, meaning they get pregnant, and they can't hold to pregnancy. It's a type 2 estrogen dominance, which is the estrogen to progesterone ratio is off. Then let's look at our physicality, right? So anything from having a lot of weight around our hips and thighs, it's something that we talked about yesterday on our launch call. I did a live Q&A on that. And if you follow us on social media, which I think you are because you are here, if you look at our feeds from yesterday, I explained there why do we deposit fat in the hips and thighs. And if you are the pear shape, if you are the apple shape, then it tends to be a different hormonal imbalance. So kind of cool to know this because we try to lose weight so badly, like, around our hips and thighs and like including cellulite, and just wouldn't budge. Like you exercise so much and you go to the gym 5 times a week, and and you restrict calories and it's still not working. And that's a lot of the time it's most likely estrogen dominance. Your hormonal imbalance will dictate where you store the fat in the body. And then we're talking about, things like, for example, one of the reels that I did was on melasma. Women who develop the browning above their, it happens most often above the lips, but it can also appear right here on the sides of your chins, as well as above your eyebrows. I had all of them, and it gets worse with suntan, right? And so I had melasma big time, right after being on birth control pills. Like within a couple of months, I started having major issues already, and not just melasma, but also mood swings and just feeling really, really off. And by the way, women who have a bad reaction to birth control pills, like right from the get-go, depression, anxiety, feeling really off, losing sex drive, developing melasma, having headaches, having horrendous mood swings, obviously having no interest in sex, which is kind of ironic because you take it because you don't want to get pregnant. Tend to be the ones who tend to be more estrogenic, have more problems with clearing estrogen. Just the same way genetically it runs in my family. I have estrogen cancer, so both sides of my family. That's why I have taken it upon myself to really understand estrogen dominance, educate first myself. And once I understood it, I was like, wow, why is this not something that it's more talked about? And so it's really become my life's passion and mission to help other women not develop estrogen dominance. All right, let's keep going with symptoms. Other things can be growth of fibroids. So for those of you who want to know more about fibroids, I'm going to be covering that exhaustively on Monday. Today is Friday. We're taking a break for a couple of days and then coming back on Monday to do these live calls. So estrogen dominance fuels fibroids in a big way. Also women with endometriosis problems. And then you can talk about things like fibrocystic breast, so changes in the breast. Fibrocystic breast, benign, when it's a benign lump that comes, especially with those that come and go, and they fluctuate with hormone fluctuations. Women who have a lot of pain and swelling in their breasts. We did a call on breast health a couple of days ago. And I'll tell you in a second. Jen, can we post in both places, like where the content is, all the events are being hosted? So those are, I would say, the big ones. Infertility, miscarriages, I think I mentioned that. A lot of, changes in our brain. So for example, mood swings. For those of you who are experiencing terrible mood swings, especially that are kind of correlated with your cycles, can be due to estrogen dominance. Estrogen in itself, I just also want to clarify one thing. Estrogen in itself is not bad. In fact, we all need it. And I take BioEst as a supplemental hormone, and it's not that in itself is not the problem. Is how we break down those estrogens matters, and the ratio between estrogen and progesterone is what can go out of control and cause the development of a lot of the symptoms. So in the event, now that we were launching this, I published this book 3 years ago. We're on the 3rd edition right now, and we just relaunched it because, part of the reason why we relaunched it is because every time I talk about my book, people go like, oh, I didn't know you had a book. And I realized like we have so many new people following us. And so I thought it was worth it to do like a little re-education. And if you're new to this, then it's maybe a nice kind of a refresher for you as well. So we are hosting every day for 8 days. We are hosting a launch party. And every day you get to see content opening up. And then today you can also see the content from the past 3 days. We covered estrogen dominance, what it is and why it matters. We covered breast health. Yesterday we were talking about where your body stores the weight. Today we're talking about PMS and heavy periods. On Monday we're going to be talking about fibroids. Let's see what else. We have fibroids, and then we're going to be talking about hypothyroidism and thyroid cancer and thyroid nodules. Is something that I experienced myself as well. Then on Wednesday next week is hot flashes, and then we're going to talk about on the last call detoxing your products in the kitchen and bathroom, because those are part of the reason why you're experiencing estrogen dominance is the xenoestrogens or external estrogen that are found in products that we are using. And I promise I'll make it simple. I'm not one of those purists who'll be like, oh, don't you ever touch a plastic bottle. No, it's not. That's sometimes not totally doable. So every day has got recipes, education, expert interviews from the past, some really great ones, including like we had exercise with Deborah Atkinson the other day about women after 40 doing much more strength training versus cardio, and she explains why. We have Dr. Marisol Tejera talking about shrinking fibroids on Monday with castor oil packs. We had, let's see, on breast health, we had Gay Walden doing fibrocystic breast massage and doing a lymphatic drainage on your breasts, like if you struggle with that. So take a look at that page, you guys. It's really awesome. And for those of you who are not on our initiation list yet, make sure you message us the word overcome, and then we will send you to your DM reminders every day when new content is opening up and telling you what's coming up, okay? Many of you have messaged us overcome, but then you have to click on the get notifications button to get started. So just want to make sure you know that, because we get people asking like, I haven't received anything. You got to click on the get notifications. All right, so what I would like to do today, and I'll ask you just the same way I asked on the other day, would you prefer for me to, so first of all, I'm dedicating this one whole hour to you guys, and however you want to use it. Would you like me to do a bit of reading from the book on this chapter about PMSs, heavy periods, or would you rather do just a total Q&As only? Or maybe would you want me to do like a little bit of both? We do Q&As and I'll do some juicy parts of the book. We have some like nice recipes for you. And by the way, can I just also tell you about the book? It's on Amazon. It's not just a book. First of all, it's a pretty hefty book, as you can see. It's beautifully illustrated. We spend a lot of time and attention on illustrations and photography. But it's half of the book is about giving you protocols, specifically what to eat, what supplements to take, and what herbs to incorporate for, we have 13 protocols here. Fibroids, endometriosis protocol, fibrocystic breasts, hot flashes, amenorrhea, which is absent periods, irregular periods, dysmenorrhea and PMS, menarrhea, which is heavy periods, thyroid nodules protocol, infertility and miscarriages protocol, cellulite and hip fat, breast cancer protocol, breast and high testosterone, which is like PCOS protocol as well. Okay, so it's organized by protocols, but then you also get recipes at the end of the book and a 12-week meal plan, 2-week, 14-day meal plan using these recipes that are done in a way that is really, really simple. And those recipes are not complicated. Those are recipes that you can walk into a regular supermarket and pick your foods from there. And you don't have to order weird stuff from the internet. There is no shakes or powders you need to order from me. You just do probably what you do often, but modify your diet based on some sound recommendations on going an anti-inflammatory diet full of nutrients, surrounding yourself with foods that are very well known to detox you of estrogen very effectively, and supporting the organs that help you detox you of estrogen, such as the liver and gut health. So let's see, what are folks saying? You guys want me to do both? Okay, so we do a bit of Q&As and we do a bit of book reading. Yeah. Okay, that sounds good. Let's do both. All right. So can I also, while I'm looking up the chapter, I also want to share something with you. You know, so we have actually two things to cover today, PMS, and so page 198 and 204. So one of the things I want to highlight here is that PMS can get worse, and heavy periods can get horrendous for women going through perimenopause. Anyone here experience this? Like, you going into perimenopause and like, what is going on here? Like, my periods should be becoming more scanty and more and longer away from each other and maybe shorter days, and suddenly I'm finding myself like bleeding for 7 days straight and going through 6 or more tampons. So what's considered heavy bleeding will be considered like you soaking up, like 6 tampons get fully soaked up, right, with blood. That will be considered a heavy period. And so and this is the reason why I think the whole estrogen dominance thing is so underestimated, because we, like, in perimenopause, there's a lot of conversations now putting women on hormones and stuff like that, and I'm not opposed to that. In fact, I use identical hormones as well. But I think what's missing in this whole part is also helping women metabolize estrogens correctly and making sure the estrogen to progesterone ratio is correct as well. And this is where estrogen dominance comes in. So it's not just about like, oh, she's got. So let me just back out a little. So when you have heavy periods during perimenopause, that is most likely due to estrogen dominance. Correcting estrogen dominance, and there are specific protocols in the book as well, and which I'm going to cover today. And I can give you some herbs that you can incorporate as well. In fact, a friend of mine is just going through perimenopause, and she was texting me. She's like, oh my gosh, she's got some, I don't know whether she's going through 6 tampons, but it's definitely like twice. She said it was twice heavier than the usual period, right? And it can be concerning from someone who is also in a healthcare space. So what do you do? All right, so let me do just a little bit of reading. I want to focus on solutions. So a couple of solutions here for you is that the foundation of this book lays in what I call the 3-legged stool analysis, meaning that if you want to sit comfortably on a stool that has 3 legs, these legs that need to be firmly put in place, not just for your hormones, honestly, but for everything pretty much in you, for your body to function correctly, is your liver health, gut health, and blood sugar balance, okay? Gut health, liver health, blood sugar balance, those 3 things. And so we've designed the meal plans in a way that they support your blood sugar balance. So for example, we always start off with savory breakfasts. They incorporate tons of vegetables and herbs and herbal teas during the day that support your liver and help you detox that estrogen correctly. And then we support the gut health in a way that I'm recommending an anti-inflammatory diet that reduces that inflammation in the gut, that is rich in prebiotic-rich foods, probiotic-rich foods, because it's not just about taking a supplement, right? And lowers the inflammation in the gut by going on an anti-inflammatory diet. And what I have found is when you correct these 3 things, a lot of the things that I'm going to talk to you about, like the heavy periods or the PMS, like you don't even need to correct anything. So what I'm going to read in the chapter is like what we call the add-on protocol, meaning that when you complete the 4-week protocol and it works for you, you might not even need to come to this chapter here, okay? So, but if you still have some lingering PMS, you still have lingering heavy period, it's still not regulated, right? Then this is a few things you can do. I explained seed rotation. Here, you can try doing seed rotation. That's a pretty good option. There is essential oils that you can use. That we have a PMS salve, and so the PMS salve is on page 350. Let me flip over to it. I think the PMS salve, I'm also showing a video that's open to all of you on our events page. If you are on, actually, if you just message us, Overcome, you get all the links right away. Otherwise, go to our bio link and just click on the events on the events page, and so you'll see it there. So the PMS salve, which is like this one right here, that's the image of it, has got. I'll just give you the. Okay, so there's a couple of things. One is St. John's wort infused oil. You can get that from your local herbal store. St. John's wort is amazing when it comes to lowering inflammation. It's just amazing. Then it also uses 20 drops of clary sage. Well, it's kind of like the proportions here is okay. So you start off with 1/4 cup organic cold pressed hexane-free castor oil. Then you use 1/4 cup St. John's wort infused oil. And by the way, on the events page, you have the whole recipe there. So I don't even need to tell you this, all of that. But then you use 20 drops of clary sage essential oil, which can be hugely beneficial, and then 10 drops of lavender essential oil. If you happen to have rose at home, then also use rose because rose shows high efficacy. The reason why I didn't put rose in here is because it's a very, very expensive oil, and most women don't, most people just can't afford it. So I didn't put it in, but this is actually taken from a research paper that showed that these essential oils were more effective than Advil. Okay, so that's itself. Also, if you have type 2 estrogen dominance, then adding some progesterone might be super, super helpful. That's to correct the estrogen to progesterone ratio. Adding borage oil, which some of you may know it. It's what we are after in a borage oil is GLA, gamma linolenic acid, which many of you might have heard of the evening primrose oil. Evening primrose oil is amazing, but I've also found through research that borage seed oil contains 3 times more GLA as compared to evening primrose oil. So for that reason, we are using, I am recommending that. And it's incredible because what research shows is that it contains, it converts into prostaglandins, E1 and E3, which are natural painkillers, and it suppresses the PGE2, which is the prostaglandin that causes the pain. And the recommended dosage is 240 milligrams 4 times a day with meals. And so, by the way, we have a GLA product in our store as well. It's called GLA. And so, by the way, the borage oil can be used both internally. So 240 milligrams, that's the internal dosage. But you can also open up the capsule and massage your breast with it. For those of you who have used our Happy Sisters cream, that's what actually the Happy Sisters cream contains, is the GLA oil. It's part of the reason why it's such a magical oil. Oh, by the way, you guys can also use our Happy Sisters cream. Jen, are we still? Do we have the cream on sale right now? We are. Okay. You can also use the Happy Sisters cream, which is meant for breasts, but you can also use it for your abdomen because it's got St. John's wort, it's got the GLA, it's got poke root, which is incredible for uterine lining, right? So you can totally use that as well. Castor oil packs, some people have great results with it, others don't feel the difference in terms of reduction of PMS. And there's a couple of herbs that I have here, which I want to mention. I've categorized them to 3 different groups, 4 actually. Hormone modulators, so will be things like cheeseberry, vitex, dong quai, which is Angelica sinensis, ginger, and black cohosh. For liver support, because remember we want to support the liver to reduce your PMS, will be dandelion and burdock roots. Analgesics, which is painkillers, cranbark, corydalis, kava. And then if you're having a lot of stress going on in your life, because remember stress steals your progesterone, so lowers your progesterone levels, then you want to remodulate your whole nervous system by using things like ashwagandha, schisandra, rhodiola, urethro, skullcap, milky oats, or passion flower. Okay, so that's for PMS protocol. Now I want to read you, before I go to questions in just a second, I want to read the Menardia one, which is the heavy periods. Because I think that might be super helpful for you. And you may look, we don't have anything in our store that's specifically for heavy periods, but there's, I think, like Wish Garden, I think, has a nice product. And what you want to, or maybe you have some favorite herbal pharmacy, herbal apothecary somewhere near you. And so those are let me give you the list of herbs that, what they do is they are astringent. So they basically block will reduce, I should say, blood flow into the uterus. Okay. And that will be yarrow, witch hazel leaf, stone root, shepherd's purse herb, which is my favorite. By the way, let me show you how a shepherd's purse looks like. It's like this. I'm sure you walked by it. It's a very weedy plant in the brassica family. I'm sure you've walked by it many, many times before, not even paying any attention to it. Its characteristic thing is that its leaves are like kind of like hearts. I love it so much. And then partridge berry, herb, and cypress tips. All of those are astringents, uterine tonics. Then you also, a good formula would be one that also contains some hormone modulators like chasteberry, also known as Vitex, that helps you raise progesterone levels. Not for everyone. Remember one thing with herbs. Let me just finish this, and I'll tell you in a second. Chasteberry, donquai, and ginger. And then again, if you are experiencing a very heavy period because of stress, then we want to be adding those adaptogens and nervines that I mentioned just now. Ashwagandha, Schisandra, rhodiola, urethra, skullcap, milky oats, and passion flower. Okay. So I was just going to say about herbs is that it's really important to remember that one herb is your ally. One person's herb is an ally, another person's is a foe. Let me give you an example. For instance, there are some women who cannot live without maca, or some women can't live without Vitex, right? It keeps them regular in terms of their periods, their mood swings, are under control, they sleep better, and so on and so forth. And there's other women who are like, I can't do maca, no matter what form I try. I cannot do Vitex, for example, right? My ovaries start throbbing, I get mid-cycle spotting. So I tried it several times, different forms, tinctures, pills, just wasn't working. So it's important to, respect the herbs, that not every herb is going to be your ally, right? So hopefully you don't have many reactions to none of those. All right, why don't we jump into some questions? Let me go over to Instagram first, because we get a ton of questions always there first. And welcome to all the newbies. Somebody's saying, I had 30-day periods, never had an issue with my weight, and now I have a lot of weight put on at 43. Periods are better now, but still fighting other symptoms. So this is from Copper Lights. I hope this book helps you and puts you in the right direction. And during the launch period, we are also doing $20 off as a gift voucher for you guys into our store. So whatever and that's only valid until the 6th of April. You can apply that voucher. So the gift card. So take advantage of that if you want. And I am a strong believer of combining diet with supplements and not supplements alone, right? Even though we are a supplement company, I'll be the first one to tell you that you will never be able to out-supplement a good diet. So that's really important. And so Copper Light, I hope all these resources are going to help you. Just make a commitment. I have melasma now that I'm going through perimenopause. Rosie is saying, yep, I totally hear you. And that, the thing about melasma is that you kind of like, you go and see your esthetician, and then you end up with whitening the parts of the face, right? And then it gets thinner and it comes back, right? And then the skin is kind of funny afterwards. And the truth of the matter is that it's never going to go away unless and until you correct that estrogen dominance issue. Myra is saying, I'm going through the opposite. My menstrual periods are barely showing up every 3 months. Yeah, that's okay. That's part of going into perimenopause. A very normal cycle and a healthy way to transitioning to a new phase in our lives would be that at first your periods are going to get probably shorter. So let's say if your average was 5 days, then it's going to go down to 4, 3 days, maybe 2.5. And then they're going to get spaced. For some women, they get like more frequent because the luteal phase becomes shorter. So instead of being like every 28 to 30 days, now it becomes every 21 days. But the luteal phase is where the progesterone starts dropping really quickly. So it becomes shorter. And for some women, then they transition over to a period where they get it once every 3 months, just like you. I'm the same way. 3 months. I have gone for 5 months without a period, and so I was like hoping that it's never gonna come back, but then it did come back. And it can sometimes show up all over the place. I had COVID recently, and my period just came out of the blue, kind of regularly, right? So that's just that those surprises during perimenopause are just very normal. I want to just assure you that that is normal, unless you have something that is obviously, like sudden bleeding of the uterus, then you might want to go and you do want to get it checked out just to make sure this is not some other irregularity. Is there a test I can have for estrogen dominance? Yes, it's called Dutch, Dutch. I don't know where you are, which part of the world. The way you spell estrogen is not the American way, so I'm assuming that's the UK version, or maybe South Africa. So Australia. So that's I'm not sure if they ship it there. I take artichoke extract for estrogen dominance and gut motility. Is there ever a problem taking artichoke extract too long to make estrogen too low? No, absolutely not. Artichoke extract is great. In fact, I love artichoke extract because it also supports your liver function, and that's one of the chapters in this book, you guys, is about liver health. And so it's definitely going to be, and it's not a short-term herb. You might find, a lot of herbs like artichoke is very cooling. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a certified herbalist. And so one of the things to be mindful of is that it might cool your body down to a point where you get constipated. So when it happens, when you use it long term, so when that happens, just make sure you combine it then with warming herbs, right? So like maybe adding a bit of cinnamon or cloves, or red pepper, chili, extract, right, to it to warm up your body might be helpful. That's how we formulated we have a product in our store called the digestive bitters that it's for your digestion, it's for your liver support. It's like you squirt it in, it tastes really good. And our digestive bitters were formulated exactly with that in mind, so that it doesn't cool off your body too much, so you can use it long term and not feel like you're getting constipated. Okay, let's see. So the name of the book is Overcoming Estrogen Dominance and is available now on Amazon. Oh, can I just show you something really cool? I want to just because I want to say thank you to all of you. So let me just do like a little shout out. So our Amazon agency, we have an agency that helps us with our Amazon sales and our store, I should say. And Overcoming Estrogen Dominance is like number 2 book now in the endocrine system diseases. So I want to thank you all for your support on the book. And so the physical book is number 2, and then the Kindle version is number 5. So that's pretty awesome. And I'm squished between Dr. Mindy Peltz, which, by the way, I love her book. Highly recommend if you're into fasting or you want to learn how to do fasting correctly. Fasting Like a Girl is an amazing book, and that's my good friend Isabella. Please don't tell her that I'm number. I'm just joking. All right. So let's. So thank you so much for your amazing support. Okay, so Jen, let's do some questions on Facebook. What should we do if our doctor won't test you because you say hormones fluctuate too much in perimenopause? You go off symptoms, just go off symptoms. How else do you know for sure what your levels are? So if you want to DIY it, and then yes, that's you can go by symptoms, and if it's and get resources like my book or whatever other books that you like for that kind of stuff. But if you have a lot of complex problems, right, that need to be addressed, then I would suggest find a doctor who would do that. And so typically they will be out of pocket, not covered by insurance, right? So it kind of depends on what your situation is. a lot of women do go off symptoms and be like, well, it's clearly I have this and this. What can I do? Correct my diet, add a couple of supplements. Maybe if that's not working, then I look at bioidentical hormones, right? Okay, next, let's do another one. Lessa is asking, what is driving migraines with vomiting? I've had these every month for the past 5 years. I'm 54, no periods for 2 years. Hormone testing is showing low estrogen. Yeah, so migraines can be related to, but not only. We have an article that's, I think, first of all, let me just preface it by saying I'm not a migraines expert, okay? If it's, we have done extensive research with the person who helped me write those articles, and we found a lot of great resources on migraines. And so I want to encourage you to take a look at our go to hormones with an S, hormonesbalance.com, and we have a lot of resources there, including an article on migraines and headaches. And so, some very overlooked solutions, even amongst traditional doctors, is things like magnesium deficiency, low progesterone, low estrogen. Those are like some, interesting ones. But there could be some more complex one, like, for example, an adjustment to a spine to a neck that's required, right, to release it. So those are like areas that's obviously not my expertise area that you might want to investigate. But I would, if I were you. Oh yeah, another one, because I used to have migraines, is food sensitivities. Let me not forget about that. So one of my stories, I don't know if you guys know this, how I started on this journey, but in my 20s I was covered in cystic acne everywhere here. If you look closely, I still had like a bit of potholes here and there, and then on my chest, on my back, right? I didn't own ever an open dress like this, even though I grew up in a tropical country. Because I was too ashamed, I was too embarrassed to basically show my back. It was all full of pimples. So what prompted me to start making changes was a wedding of my best friend, and she designed these dresses for all of us, the bridesmaids. And I'm just like, man, I can't wear this dress because it's gonna open back. And she's like, yeah, no one's gonna see this. And I'm like, yeah, because you don't have it, so you don't know what it feels like. So I still had like a couple of months to prep for the wedding. And I thought, what if I just Yahoo it? There was no Google back then. I Yahoo it, right? And an article came out that says that bread causes acne. I was like, food can cause acne? So guess what? So I cut out bread, right? And then I'm like, maybe it's not just bread. Maybe it's all like flours, like all the, pastas and cookies and all that, right? So I cut out all gluten. And then half of my zits disappeared. But I still had other half. So I'm like, what else? So then I took off dairy and gluten. So gluten and dairy, those are the two big ones, and a little bit of eggs. And guess what? My migraines were gone. My energy improved. All my bloating. I used to have like a bloat, like a. You guys maybe saw my videos. Like I've always been a very athletic and trim person. So for me to suddenly have like a bloat, looking like I was 3 to 4 months pregnant, was pretty unusual. The bloating stopped. The migraine stopped. Right. And so if you look at the article, food sensitivities can be a big contributing factor. The big ones will be gluten, sugar, dairy, and eggs. Those are the four. I would say those are the big four. Magnesium, correcting estrogen, progesterone. Those are the four things you can do like right off the bat and see if that helps. All right, let's go on to the next one. Does estrogen dominance cause cholestasis and gallstones 1 month after giving birth? I was in ER due to cholestasis, elevated liver enzymes, gallstones, yet during pregnancy and blood work, I was considered perfectly healthy. Can this be prevented in the future if I get pregnant again? So, let me just explain first that the whole thing with estrogen dominance and gallstones connection is that when you have, first of all, when you're pregnant, you don't have estrogen dominance, because at least not the type 2, because your progesterone is running so high. So the body protects itself, right, from any craziness. And so you would never have that kind of estrogen dominance, at least not type 2. And if it's type 1, the body is probably also having some measures of preventing any symptoms from occurring just to protect the baby. But here's the thing. Estrogen dominance, when you have estrogen dominance, it thickens the bile, and the bile then creates gallstones, right? And the normal conventional medicine's way of dealing with it is like removing of the gallbladder, which, by the way, is not a good idea, because it might, it's kind of like considered a useless organ, in reality is actually very beneficial for a lot of different reasons. Gallbladder stores bile. The bile is released when you eat something fatty. It helps you metabolize that fat and produce HDL cholesterol. HDL cholesterol is your precursor for all your steroid hormones, including testosterone, estrogens, cortisol, um, DHEA, right? And so we need cholesterol, and we need the ability to create cholesterol from fat, and you need to be able to digest fats correctly. So it happens to a lot of women when they have their gallbladder removed and they don't produce sufficient bile, and they are never put on any bile replacement pills like ox bile, for example, and they struggle, so they go on a low-fat diet, and then they start having hormone problems. But nobody ever told them that. And so most women don't make the connection between gallbladder removal and having hormonal problems 3, 6, 8 months later, and then having serious problems with estrogen dominance, because guess what? Bile also binds up the dirty estrogens. That's one of the roles of the bile, is the bile binds up estrogen dominant, those metabolized estrogens, those dirty estrogens. So it's a two-way form. I don't know what else you've been having going on in your health. I'm just explaining it on a holistic, on an overview, is that, whether was your gallstones created because you had estrogen dominance, or did you develop estrogen dominance because of having poor quality bile in the first place? I don't know that, right? Part of the reason why we develop gallstones, here's an interesting fact, you guys, is sensitivity to dairy. So for those of you who kind of know you shouldn't be eating dairy, but you still do because you love your cheese, you might want to consider backing off dairy for a while, just to see whether your bile improves. One of the ways of knowing that you're not producing sufficient bile is that your poop isn't brown, but it's kind of like very light color. Bile is what creates the brown in our poop, right? So, all right. Let's move on to the next one. Is cherry angiomas on the chest and breast a sign of estrogen dominance? Yes, it is, Jennifer, and I have quite a number of them as well. They're completely benign, but they are a symptom of that. Yes, and mine have stopped growing. Unfortunately, they don't grow back, but I've noticed they just stopped growing, which is hopefully a sign that estrogen doesn't feed them anymore. So I'm glad you asked. 41, not only weight suddenly packing on thighs and belly, but mood swings and depression are out of the world. Is this all estrogen dominance? What is the first step? It could be, Karen. And I know probably that matters a lot to you because you got a very nice picture with a partner. So I'm assuming that's your life partner. And so, yeah, so I hear you having mood swings, but towards anyone for that matter. It doesn't have to be just your life partner, even anyone in your life is gonna suffer through that, right? I severed so many of my really dear relationships because of mood swings. I can't even tell you. It took me years of gathering the courage to going and apologizing for what I did, which was all hormonal. It was nothing to do with how I really felt. So I totally hear you. Yes, it could be estrogen dominance. And here's the thing, you guys. Get the darn book, try the diet for a couple of weeks, and see whether that works for you. Because here's the thing. It's not just for estrogen dominance. It is just generally, it's a book that is so no nonsense in anyone actually really feeling great using this diet, right? I mean, whether you've got, even women with PCOS for that matter could use it. Men can, if you have a guy in your life, he can eat that too. I talked a lot about symptoms of estrogen dominance. I didn't talk about men with estrogen dominance. So guess what? Prostate issues in men, prostate cancers, and men boobs are signs of estrogen dominance in men. So they're likely, and then on top of that, we regularly hear from women that now my guy is sleeping better, doesn't snore so much, his mood's so much better, he's lost weight, his mood's way better. So this is some of the things that we hear from women telling us that when you start eating this way, it's nothing. There's nothing in this book that is weird. I'm not asking you to only eat meat or something, or go vegan, or eat only 3 hours a day or nothing else. You know what I mean? It's not like that at all. In fact, it is pretty attainable. That's the way I eat this way every day. If you see my reels, it's a bit less than the past few days, but past couple of weeks because we've been prepping for the book launch. But if you look at some of my older reels, like I'm in a camper van right now, 6 months in Mexico, cooking in my micro kitchen. It's not even a tiny kitchen. It's a bloody micro kitchen. And I still managed to whip out good, solid, tasty, nutritious food and recipes that don't have gluten, dairy, soy, corn, and in it. And I hardly touch sugar, right? So, which you don't have to do that, but I'm just saying that's my choice. So anyway, I really think if you give this a shot, it's never going to hurt you. It can only improve things. And go by the symptoms. Look at the symptoms. Take a quiz or take the quiz on our website, and then we'll tell you whether does it look like it could be estrogen dominance. All right, let's do another one, and then I'm going to jump over to Instagram. I ended up having a uterine ablation 3 years ago at 53. I had a polyp and heavy bleeding for 2 months continuously, which I already had heavy periods whenever I had one. Did it worsen my hormonal imbalances? No, it doesn't. What is more important, Loretta, is to, and by the way, we are talking about fibroids and polyps, the uterine health on Monday, so stay tuned for that one. The cool thing about estrogen dominance is that once you, let me address this, let me put it this way. When you have polyps or fibroids in your uterus, these procedures work temporarily, right? And then when you continue having estrogen dominance, they will come back. So it's really important to address that estrogen dominance component because the polyp is gonna show up somewhere else in another part of your uterus. In fact, women who have continuous estrogen dominance for a very long time end up with the worst case, estrogenic cancers, right? So estrogen receptor positive breast cancers, ovarian, uterine cancers are all estrogen fed. Estrogen causes DNA damage. Those cells get damaged. Cancer takes over. Estrogen continues feeding that cancer. And so it's I think, that's part of the reason why I'm so passionate about this work is that don't wait until you develop symptoms. Do something now. I cringe when I hear people say, my mother is always so healthy and then suddenly she developed breast cancer. It doesn't happen suddenly. It's just that we close off to a lot of the symptoms that our body signals, messages the body is giving us. Assume that it's normal to have terrible periods. Assume that it's normal to have indigestion your entire life and be burping and be swollen and be bloated, right? Assume that it's normal to be constipated the whole time. But those are things that the body is telling us, like, hey, I'm struggling here, help me. And, and we have a choice. We either do something about it or we don't. So I think many of you here hopefully are not at that stage where you are dealing with severe health conditions. I feel like a lot of our followers are women who are like, I just want to be proactive about my health and do something now because I feel like something is off. Do something now. And then you're going to enjoy a much prosperous and bountiful health than someone who goes on with a lot of symptoms for a long time and then suddenly they develop a disease. It's never sudden. Let me tell you, breast cancer doesn't just suddenly show up. It's years and years of issues that are happening in the body before it manifests. Okay, so let me go over to Instagram. Good evening from Belgium. Good evening. I hope it's not too late. You should be in bed. I'm sounding like a mother hen. Amazon just delivered your book. Thank you for your support. What's the name of the hormone test again? It's called Dutch, DUTCH. By the way, we have a hormone panel that's put together for us by a lab called yourlabwork.com. If you go to yourlabwork.com/hormones balance, hormones with an S, hormones balance, you will find it there. We're talking about fibroids on Mondays, you guys, on Monday, so stay tuned for that. So the name of the book again is Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. Oh, and I forgot to say, we're doing a book giveaway today. Jen, forgot about that one. So let's do this. Let's do the book giveaway based on tag a couple of girlfriends, women in your life who struggle with estrogen dominance. And then based on that, we'll we'll pick a winner for today's call. We'll get a copy of the book, Overcoming Estrogen Dominance. My only request is that you are in the United States, because to ship this book overseas is sometimes a challenge. So we would love to have you guys tagging someone if you are in the United States. Okay, and then let me also mention that we are also doing during the book launch until the 6th of April. Apart from the book, you're getting $5 off on Amazon, you guys, right now. We're also giving you a $20 gift card towards our store as a gift for being here, and participating, that you can use towards any purchase in our Wellena store. And so one of the questions we get a lot is like, okay, so now I know I have estrogen dominance. What do I do next, right? And so my answer is simple. First is get the book, get on the diet. In the meantime, order the supplements. I think the baseline, the greatest one to start off with, is the estrogen reset kit. The only challenge is that it's on it's sold out right now, so it's on pre-order. But we're gonna be shipping next in 8 days time, so just over a week. On the 1st of April is gonna be shipping, so you should get the product pretty soon. So and when you are getting the kit, you're getting $18 off from the kit, because you're buying the kit together, the trio, and it's got 3 supplements in it that gives you like a total estrogen reset. Not just DIM. DIM is useless, by the way, and I explained it on Reels. You need those 3. So that gives you $18 savings, and then you can apply the $20 gift card, which the code is OED launch. It's on their website, by the way. If you go to our store, wellena.com, you will see the coupon code is right there, OED launch. Apply that to your purchase. There's no minimal purchase. We just we want to make it easy for you, and you get free shipping if it's over $97. So that will be my answer, and getting like what's the easiest way to get started. So whether you're experiencing fibrocystic breast, or you've got uterine problems, so like polyps, fibroids, or if you're having issues with migraines, you're having challenges with hot flashes, mood swings, right? And you can see from the list of symptoms, like you've got so many of them going on. Just get the estrogen reset kit. Is going to help you detox you from phase 1 and phase 2 liver detoxification. So it's like a total estrogen detox. The only caveat here is that you need to be pooping. So if you're not pooping, then make sure you get like something like magnesium citrate. Don't do laxatives. Get something like magnesium citrate. It's a milder, more natural way of having creating a laxative effect. And then take it to a dose so that it allows you to poop things out. Because when you are working on detoxing yourself from estrogens, you do not want to be recycling them through constipation, right? So our supplements cannot help you if you're not pooping. Once you start pooping them out, you're golden. Is there such a thing as getting herbs too low with herbs? How do you know it's too low? No, not really. Herbs are so amazing in that way that no, there's no such thing. You are too low on estrogen when you're basically going into like a typical menopause situation where you're like, I'm forgetting things, my muscles are not as strong, I'm beginning to, I got and get my bone density test done and it shows that I'm in osteoporosis. Maybe my cardiovascular health is not so great, my HDL cholesterol is low, my LDL cholesterol is high, right, and so on and so forth. So you're just displaying typical menopausal symptoms. My book is not on Audible. Sorry. But you can get the ebook. It's kind of, I didn't want to do Audible because there's recipes in here, and I'm just like, what's the point of reading out recipes? That's kind of silly. Website to test again would be, let me actually put that in here. So that will be yourlabwork.com/hormones balance. And that's hormones balance. Yeah. And there's a whole webinar I did with Dr. Alan Hopkins, who's the owner of the service, just educating you guys on like what to test and why. Jen, are you able to pop over to Instagram? Okay, because people tagging a lot of tagging is happening on Instagram, and once I hang up, all the folks are gonna be lost. So maybe just pick a person before I hang up, and that's gonna be in the next few minutes. We got so much tagging going on. Can armored thyroid meds cause increase in estrogen? No. What can happen is estrogen dominance can be causing thyroid, can be causing low thyroid function. And I'm going to be talking about that on, I think, on Tuesday next week. Oh, Rachel is saying, or Raquel, is it? Raquel is saying, I've been following you for years. I just want to say you look radiant. Thank you. I think it's part of it is being on the beach in Mexico, to be honest with you. But thank you. I do feel good. Is the book in German or Russian? And no, sorry. It's in only in solo in Espanol. For those of you who are actually, I'm sorry. It's not. It's my first book that's in Spanish, not this book. I apologize. Yeah, so I think we are good for questions right now. Awesome. Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm actually excited about the weekend. It's been very fun engaging with our community and just talking about estrogen dominance and creating so much awareness about it. And can I ask, just before we hang up, have you guys heard about estrogen dominance before, like this past couple of days where I was just talking? Is this like a new topic to you altogether? Like, or are you like, oh my God, I've never heard of this before? So I'm just gonna wait for, I know there's a bit of a delay. So while we're waiting, I'm just about to wrap up, but while we're waiting for, what we're gonna do is we're gonna, give you the rundown for next week. We are doing fibroids on Monday. So you're gonna get a recipe, expert interview with Dr. Marisol Tejero about castor oil packs, and then I'm gonna be doing the live Q&As. Then we're gonna be on Tuesday. We're gonna be talking about hypothyroidism. That's my history, by the way, Hashimoto's disease. That's how I started this journey. So I've got a lot to say about that. Thyroid cancer and thyroid nodules, which are highly estrogenic. And then on Wednesday, we're gonna be talking about hot flashes, which I know many of you are just like, I am so done with these hot flashes. And then we're going to wrap it up on Thursday when we're going to be talking about products that you can detox in your house, kitchen, bathroom, and so forth. And it's going to be a great expert interview with my good friend Laura Adler, who is the environmental toxins expert, and a really great way of approaching toxins in a very attainable way. Okay, so just stay on for those of you on Instagram. Well, what time will it be? So the live Q&As are always at the same time at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. And then all the other ones, like the recipes, the expert interviews, they open up on the day off, and you can watch it anytime because they've already been pre-recorded. But I didn't know that was my after this live. Okay. So some of you have heard about it. Perry is new to me and I'm stressing me out. I know. I completely hear you. I totally hear you. All right. So I'm going to pick a winner right now for our free copy of the book. And we're going to do that on Instagram today. Let me just scroll down to, oops, that's, oops. All right. Let me see. Oh, I need to go down. Sorry, this is, it's not the best user experience, I have to say. Okay. The winner for today's book is going to be Bibis So-Called Life. Bibis So-Called Life. I'm just gonna screenshot it for you. And that will be, you are the winner of the book today. So let us know if you can hear us, and we'll be reaching out to you. All right. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Do something that's really nice and nourishing for yourself, something you really cherish, whether it's calling a friend and getting a massage. I'm going to go down to the beach and actually relax and put my hammock up and have a couple of days of downtime before we start again on Monday. Thank you again so much for all your supporting the book, and for all your kind comments here today. I hope all of this is helpful for you and you find the relief and the solutions that you're looking for, because you deserve nothing less than that. All right. Thanks, everyone. And I will see you Monday next week. Bye for now.